Whoa, lady, lower the gun! We don't want trouble! Easy now, ma'am!
Imagine 3 men in fake tactical vests labeled HOA enforcement forcing their way into the home of an elderly black woman, convinced intimidation would be enough to make her surrender everything she owned. What they didn't know was that they had stepped into the house of someone forged by history, protected by legacy, and prepared to defend herself without fear. Her name was Evelyn Carter. Evelyn was 82 years old, a widowed black grandmother who lived alone at the end of Sycamore Ridge, a quiet stretch of land her late husband built with his own hands in the 1950s, long before neighborhood boards decided authority could be printed on clipboards and enforced with threats. That morning, Evelyn was midway through her ginger tea when something felt off. The reflection in her kitchen window wasn't her own. A dark SUV rolled slowly up her gravel driveway. Too slow, too deliberate. Evelyn's eyesight had softened with age, but her instincts were still razor sharp. 3 men stepped out, lining up shoulder to shoulder like a rehearsed intimidation tactic. Matching polos, cheap tactical vests, sunglasses hiding cowardice behind plastic confidence. HOA enforcement was printed crookedly across their chests. Evelyn sighed softly. Lord, not today. Her property wasn't under any HOA, never had been, never would be. Her house predated their imaginary authority by decades. But entitlement doesn't care about facts, it cares about obedience. She moved calmly to the oak cabinet above her stove. Behind a cookie tin and folded quilt sat a wooden box she hadn't opened in years. Inside rested her father's service pistol, a Colt he carried overseas before bringing it home. She maintained it faithfully, not as a symbol of violence, but of survival. Outside, fists slammed against her front door. One man circled her shed, another rattled a window latch. The leader shouted about violations, dues, and community standards. Evelyn stood in the hallway, posture steady, grip firm. They thought age meant weakness. They thought isolation meant vulnerability. They were wrong. Have you ever seen someone try to bully an elder only to realize they chose the wrong house? Before we continue, tell us where you're watching from in the comments. And if you believe our elders deserve protection, not intimidation, like the video and subscribe to Voices Under Color, because stories like this matter. The kick came hard. Wood splintered. The door swung inward. The first intruder stepped inside, smirking like he'd already won. He glanced at Evelyn and laughed. Ma'am, put that down before you hurt yourself. Evelyn's eyes didn't blink. One more step, she said calmly, and I will defend my home. He laughed again and stepped forward. The shot was controlled, decisive. He dropped instantly, clutching his leg and screaming. The other 2 panicked. One tripped off the porch. The other ran toward the SUV, but they didn't get far. The side gate opened. Caleb Freeman, a retired black Marine and Evelyn's neighbor, stepped into view, shotgun leveled, voice steady as stone. On the ground, he said, now. They obeyed immediately. Sirens rose in the distance, not chaotic, but inevitable. When deputies arrived, the scene told its own story. 2 men face down on the grass, plastic restraints they brought now binding their own wrists, the wounded intruder receiving medical aid. Evelyn sat calmly on her porch, wrapped in a shawl, her pistol secured nearby. No panic, no regret, just resolve. What shocked investigators most wasn't the break-in, it was the confession. The men weren't freelancing, they were hired. A real HOA board member from a neighboring subdivision had been compiling a list, elderly homeowners, often black, often widowed, living alone. The goal? Intimidation disguised as enforcement. Theft disguised as inspections. Evelyn was supposed to be easy. She became the end of the operation. The trial came weeks later. The prosecution tried to frame Evelyn as reckless. The jury saw the truth, not guilty, all counts. The courtroom exhaled. Justice didn't stop there. HOA officials were arrested. Heirlooms were returned. Families reunited with stolen history. Evelyn refused compensation. Instead, she proposed a city-funded senior safety initiative, security systems, volunteer check-ins, and a 24-hour hotline for elders living alone. It passed unanimously because dignity is not negotiable and legacy does not kneel. If you believe elders deserve protection, not fear, share this story and subscribe to Voices Under Color, where truth, justice, and unheard stories finally get the space they deserve.